There are times of light, times of darkness. What I ended up finding is that there is a duality in time and in season. God ends up having a very perfect time and a way to build that, actually. I look at these grounds. Right now we are at the United States Congress. Very beautiful. I have had an opportunity and the blessing in my life to go from one end of the world to the other, from Los Angeles to Jerusalem. I've been able to go into Moscow. A little bit different, actually, from everywhere else that I ended up going to. Sometimes you can go to a place like that where it's very cold. I've also been on the beaches of Miami, Tel Aviv. Very warm, very sunshiny. But in that, what you end up finding is that in the same way within the spiritual essence that you end up having, also within the physical. Sometimes it'll be a light and dark. That same casting that you end up finding is also the same parallel that we end up seeing within our lives. Sometimes we will go through a time of hardship, a time of tribulation. But also, do you realize that the same way that this nation is also going through, for instance, a momentary, difficult time, God is also preparing for us to receive an abundant blessing. And that as we end up overcoming this hardship, He is going to open up new financial blessings, new opportunities, new times to thrive. And that in the same way, if I go to northern Moscow, it might be very cold. If I go to Miami, it may be very hot. If we go through a hardship and we end up having to where we end up facing a plague or death, a coronavirus as it was, there will also be a time where there will be healing. If we end up having some doors that are shut financially, He will open up new financial doors and opportunity for us. If He lifts us up, there will be a time where we must also be humbled. But in having that humility, God prepares in time and in season to lift us up. He is preparing that opportunity. There is a storm before us, but by taking what God has given us, just like the mighty eagle, we are going to be able to spread our wings and use what God has given us to rise above the storm. In this storm, God is using those who are over us, the American government, our family, our friends, our churches, the reverence that we have for God Himself. And He uses that trust, that faith, and that fidelity to take what is already God-given and already exists, just as the mighty eagle, to just spread its wings and allow for that storm to carry us above it. When we use what God has given us, it allows for us to rise over the storm. You know, most of the birds in the animal kingdom, when they see a storm coming, they go and they hide. They're afraid of the storm. They say there's a storm outside. The word in the scriptures is there's a lion in the streets. Who can bear it? But when we take what God has given us, when we look at that mighty eagle, and I realize that that is the evidence of what God is doing within this country. He has already given us what we need. We need but simply have the faith to allow for God to use that destiny to carry us above this storm, that we can overlook this tribulation and realize and see before us the greatness and the grandness that He has set in a future that is very bright. That brightness and that future gives us an opportunity to go forth in this day, receiving in joy and peace the divine assurance of prosperity that is set before us, thus acknowledging that through the storm we can already see the brightness and the glory of His salvation. I want to give you an invitation to accept what God has already given you. It's already there. You don't have to pay for it. It's free to all. It's the salvation of Jesus Christ. That good news is the gospel, and that's my message. I want to give you an opportunity with me now. If you can say it aloud, say it aloud. If you got to say it in your heart, I understand. But say Jesus is Lord. Adonai Yeshua HaMashiach, and realize that when you say it, you're creating salvation. You're creating that opportunity for you to rise above the storm, for you already receiving it. And you get in that glory, that blessing of God. My name is Rev Kasey Carroll, and my message is the gospel and the good news of Jesus Christ. I pray that you end up receiving that gospel and that you receive that salvation. God bless, and God bless America. See ya.